A very warm welcome to this hour of news. We begin in Sudan, where the country's former ruler, Omar al-Bashir, has been found guilty in a corruption trial. The 75-year-old's been sentenced to 2 years, which he'll spend in a reform centre rather than jail because of his age. Now, the case centred around suitcases found in his home filled with notes of different currencies, worth more than $130 million. Well, the courtroom erupted in chaos as the verdict was read out. Bashir's supporters started chanting that the trial was political and were ordered to leave. But despite that, they continued their protests outside. Bashir was overthrown in April after months of demonstrations, and it's the first of several trials he'll face for actions during his near 30-year rule. Well, Al Jazeera's Hibba Morgan is in Khartoum, and she says the judge on the case went out of his way to make a particular point.
Well, the judge, first of all, outlined the charges against the former president and the actions that will be taken once those verdicts are issued if he's found guilty. He did indeed issue a guilty verdict against the former president, Omar al-Bashir. But before issuing that verdict, he mentioned Majdi Mahjoub. That is the name of a young man who was charged for illegal possession of foreign currency in 1989 by Bashir's government when it came to power. Now, upon mentioning the name of Majdi Mahjoub, Bashir's defense team accused the judge of being biased and basically leaning towards the Forces of Freedom and Change coalition. That is the coalition that has been leading anti-government protests that eventually led to the ousting of former President Omar al-Bashir. But they were not the only ones angry. On both sides, pro-Bashir and anti-Bashir, there is anger to be felt on the streets. Pro-Bashir supporters came out demonstrating, saying that the judge has been biased, that the trial is a sham, and that they also condemned the transitional government for dismantling the former ruling party 2 weeks ago. Meanwhile, anti-Bashir protesters came out saying that this is not enough. They're saying that he should be charged for other crimes, and even in this corruption trial, he should be sentenced with a harsher verdict.
So while Saturday's trial was about corruption and illegal possession of foreign funds, Bashir also faces additional charges. In 2009, the International Criminal Court charged him with 2 counts of war crimes and 5 counts of crimes against humanity. Now, that was for his role in the war in Darfur, which started in 2003. At least 300,000 people were killed and another 3 million displaced. A year later, the same court in The Hague brought 3 counts of genocide, also relating to Darfur. Then in May this year, after he was deposed, Sudan's public prosecutor charged him with inciting and participating in the killing of protesters. Activists say at least 100 people were killed. And in November, he and several of his aides were charged for planning and carrying out the 1989 coup that brought him to power. Well, Abdelmonem Aboutifa is a lawyer and activist. He joins us here in Doha. Sir, a very warm welcome to the programme. Let's start with that verdict. Is it basically a political verdict that's designed to appease both sides?
No, this is not a political verdict. It is a judicial verdict. Because if it is a political verdict, it should be harsher, because this is not the time of Omar al-Bashir. Omar al-Bashir now, he is behind the dock. And also, this sentence is too lenient for Omar al-Bashir. For this is very small crime. These crimes are not the crimes that are wanted to be trialed by the people of Sudan. People of Sudan looking for more trials for bigger crimes, for very, very big crimes. This is very small, very minor crime. Also, he is proven a thief for his supporters to know that he is a thief, he is a big thief. But this
Mr. Aboutifa, is there a sense then, based on what you're saying, that there is a feeling that justice hasn't really even started to be done yet?
Yeah, I think this is a very small step toward or in the path of justice. The justice that people of Sudan want is coming on the way. This is just the beginning, and this is very small step.
From what we saw today, Mr. Aboutifa, he still does nonetheless have his supporters, doesn't he?
Yeah, because he was 30 years in power. 30 years in power, he should have supporters, because those supporters, those who are gaining wealth And they are afraid about the wealth of the Sudanese people, which is theft by them. They grab all the Sudanese wealth and the Sudanese power. So now just they are crying for the wealth and the assets that should be taken back from them as a Sudanese assets and Sudanese wealth.
How does, Mr. Abatifa, what we're seeing now affect the transition process in Sudan? Could it cause more division?
I don't think. Now, the supporters of Omar al-Bashir, the NCP, the National Congress Party, now they have become something of the past. They will never come to power again because the Sudanese people said their word and said it fully. They will not come again, but they are trying to make some obstacles on the way of the transitional government.
Abdul Monem Abutifa there, lawyer and activist. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
No thanks. No thanks.